Nova, what you cooking, man?
Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. We are, flying through April here. Nick, good morning, bud. How you doing?
I'm just happy to be here, brother. And you are right, man.
Yeah.
This month is going by way too fast.
Dude, they all seem to be just absolutely flying these days, which is not the worst thing in the world, but man, just to think we're almost a month through quarter two. It's going quick. Welcome to Iron Minds, everybody. Happy Tuesday out there. Sorry we missed you last week. That's totally my fault. I was getting ready for TIA and working on this bathroom edition, and I just literally lost track of what day of the week it is, and didn't wake up or nothing. Didn't even create the show in StreamYard. So, sometimes it happens, and that's on me. But good to be back. Good to see you, man, and good to be up and walking. I'll be honest, I did not want to get up this morning. I think that is true for a lot of people who are not morning people, but I always know by the end of the show, I'm glad I did,
I've mentioned this a couple times how this show has often been the only reason why I did something at all. And today is that day. I would have had to get up no matter what. We have a senior dog and he can't really go more than a couple hours without making sure that he's looked after. And so I was going to get up anyway. And I just came downstairs and I laid back down on the couch for a while. And then I'm like, I told you I'm going through this crash. So, there's just nothing. There's just absolutely nothing in the tank, completely fatigued. And I'm like, well, dude, you got to do Iron Minds and you can't just sit there and drink coffee. So we got to do movement. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to walk the dogs and then I'll stretch. But I'm doing something and it's a lot better than doing nothing.
Yeah. And sometimes, that is where you're at. That's just the honest truth. But it's so easy to talk yourself into the nothing instead of doing something. Could be just stretching, like sitting there. Maybe if just movement's tough for whatever reason, you can stretch. I'll never forget the first time I did yoga with P90X. And I ended that workout sweating more than I had been on the workouts. It's so crazy just how much a really good stretch can be good for you, really work you out. So sometimes it's just a little stretching, a little walking, a couple squats, push-ups, or whatever it might be. But that's all right, wherever you find yourself, figure out where you're at, what you can do, and maybe how to create a more optimal situation. I know for me, and we talked about this before we came on the air this morning, I feel like I've just been saying yes to too many things, and sometimes yes to the wrong thing makes it hard to say yes to the right thing. Makes it almost impossible to say yes to the right thing. What was that?
Said if everything's important, nothing's important.
Dude, isn't that the truth? And man, it's funny. My word for the year, I think I told you guys this a couple months ago. My word for the year is no. And yet I'm really finding it hard. Finding it hard to say no. My wife made the comment just the other day. She said, I feel like you're saying yes to too many things again. Man, she's 100% right. Like 100% right. It's not even close.
So, it's funny because if we set these intentions and then sometimes forget that, we actually have to act on them. And that's the hard part, because it means that you probably need to actually start going to the things you're already doing and saying, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And It's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard because you don't want to disappoint people. You're afraid you're making the wrong decision. We're afraid not only what other people might think, but we're afraid that we might actually be selfish or lazy, or maybe we should be doing this and blah, 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 blah. But man, I say this all the time. If you do not take care of number one, it does not matter what number two is.
Man, that's so true, dude. I'm feeling convicted this morning by that. I need to say no to some things that I'm saying yes to. In fact, I just told my wife, because I help with the youth band at school. They've got a worship band for the school because they have chapel every week, and I help lead that. I was actually just going to assist that, and then they had a personnel change and needed me to step in to lead that, so I did. And it's been great. I'm glad I'm helping out, but it's just one more yes every week. And I told her, I said, next year I can't do this. So I've already put in a no for next year on something, which is good.
That's good. Good start somewhere.
I know. I got to put in a few more no's out there, and make sure that I'm available to say yes to the right things. And I think that's the thing I'm noticing, that, when you say yes to way too many things, you just don't have any margin or bandwidth to say yes to stuff that is more important when it comes up, because you just don't have any margin.
Which would be my next question is like, do you have the big yes? And I'll just give you an example because, I remember a couple of years ago when I ran my first Boston Marathon and I was training for it and I ran my first 20 miler. The very next day I did a Savage race. And I'm doing the Ironman in, less than 4 weeks. I'm an underdog in that fight. And so when I was planning out my year, I said no to every Spartan. Every person who called me and said, hey, you want to do this event? I have an extra ticket. If it did not directly support my Ironman training, I said no. I haven't seen anybody. I haven't gone to a race that wasn't directly related. These are things that would normally be pick up and go. Someone's like, hey, you want to do this charity event with me? Like, we're just going to rock for a couple hours. I'm like, all right, great. No, I'm not. I'm not doing anything that is not directly supporting the big yes that I already gave.
Dude, that's a great call out, man. And I know that you love Spartan races too. Like, I know that's a big, important part of your life and your workout journey is the Spartan races. So, man, you're just speaking into my life this morning, Nick.
Sometimes that's the delta. We're spreading ourselves too thin because we haven't decided what's important.
Yeah. Yep. We haven't determined what's important, what's the big yes, and what are the no's. I will say this though, TIA last week out in Phoenix, great week. Got to play golf twice, which is always fun. I don't get to play golf that much anymore, but getting to play with some friends is always fun. So I had a good time with that. But I'll tell you, the one of the highlights of the week was on Thursday morning. Shout out to Brent Orsuga of Pinnacle Growth Advisors. He lives out there. He named his company after Pinnacle Peak, which is a moderate little mountain peak out there in Phoenix. And he organized for 50 people to get together and go hike Pinnacle Peak on Thursday morning. Yeah, so it was amazing. It was like an hour or so that we were out there. Got to talk to people, got movement in on Thursday morning. It kind of made up for me completely missing Tuesday morning. I know it doesn't help the show or the production or anything, but at least I was able to get that in, and that was a nice thing. But
that's the ultimate goal anyway, right? I mean, Lombard and I still got half hour together on our indoor bikes having a conversation. Just because nobody got to see it didn't mean that there wasn't benefit had from
there wasn't value. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So you guys got Ironmans coming up, or you got Ironman coming up in 4 weeks.
4 weeks, man. It'll be
Florida, right?
Yep. And
what city's that in?
Jacksonville.
Okay, very good. So, where's the swim occur?
It's in I don't know the name of the river. It's like the Johns River or something like that.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of like the focal point of, and I don't know Jacksonville that well, even though I've kind of been out there a bunch of times, but
yeah.
So, I've looked at the course maps and stuff like that, but I mean, seriously, when you're doing a 112-mile bike and a 26-mile run, like you're going to cover every block of that city.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that city's going to be completely overrun for the weekend. I mean, what's crazy is that I've been around a long time. I've never even seen signs or street blockages for Ironmans. I don't know if they don't have them in the St. Louis area where I am, I've never seen, but they got to block off a ton of the city for this.
I
would think.
I mean, I imagine the city's all but shut down. I mean, they just had the Boston Marathon yesterday, and I was just thinking that's just one point to point route. That's just 126 miles
Right,
of that course, and they still have to like
right.
shut, you know,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's
shut.
the unique thing about the Boston Marathon is they start outside the city and they run into the city, and there's no loops, and it's really an interesting kind of way that they've done that.
You know, as much of a
Um,
like it's a famous course. Obviously, it's many runners look at it like the holy grail, but it's not even like an official course. Um,
hmm,
you can't run official times on Boston because it's actually like a downhill course for the most part. It's
mm,
it's famous for the hills and for like Heartbreak Hill, but that's literally one
yeah,
small section of the course. Most of it is
yeah,
actually downhill, and that sounds like, oh yay, that's awesome. Except if you don't train for that, your quads by the end of it are just
yeah,
absolutely hating you.
yeah. I can
it's
imagine, dude. I can
I love
totally imagine that.
marathon though, man. So many cool stories come out of that. The men's record was broken yesterday for the first time in 15 years. The woman who won it back to back.
Mm,
Sarah Hall still crushing it out in the Masters. I mean, there's always so many and those are just the elites. Like I don't even know about the back of the pack where all the fun happens.
right.
It's like so many cool stories, of people just
Yeah.
accomplishing major things and oftentimes having to overcome something harrowing to get there. The marathon is just it's such an amazing challenge. And I said this once to our friend Steve Zecco, and I said, it's suffering to the point of spirituality. And
Mm,
when you're doing it when you're running for a reason, especially such a huge event. I mean, you've got nearly a million of your closest friends out there screaming your name from Hopkinton all the way down Boylston. It doesn't matter about the weather. They will make you think you are the only person running it. It's such an incredible experience. And even though like you might be dying, you can't help but think about all the people that help get you there and all the people that you're running for. Especially for, the slow runners like me who have a lot of time to think about it.
yeah. Yep. Well, I remember running the half marathons, and even that's like 2.5 hours roughly of 2 hours, whatever it is, of running. You have plenty of time to think about those kind of things.
Yeah.
That's
There's a
for
lot of
sure.
life decisions that you get to second guess. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing over the course of the 15 hours of Ironman, I'll retake a few decisions a couple times.
Yeah. Namely, saying yes to Lombard. I'd be rethinking that from time to time.
Believe it or not, man, believe it or not, it actually started with Alex Bates because I swore I'd never do an Ironman. And
Yeah.
looking up to Lombard, like, I have a lot of people and friends that I think are badasses like Lombard that I do look up to, but I don't necessarily think I ever need to be them or do what they do either. And, so when Alex brought this thing to us last year about doing the 70.3,
Yeah.
you can't say no. I was only unable to make it for finances, but that's what's made me say, okay, I can do a triathlon now. And then by
Yeah.
not getting to do that and then getting diagnosed with POTS, I just threw a temper tantrum. I mean, that's what it was. It was just a glorified temper tantrum that said, oh, yeah, I can't. Well, let me show you what I can. And
Yeah.
signing up for Ironman was just the next logical sufferfest.
Yeah. That's hilarious. What part are you most looking forward to in the Ironman, and what part are you maybe not as excited about at this point?
Man, it goes back and forth. I'll be honest. I was feeling pretty cocky until Saturday.
Mhm.
I say I wasn't nervous about the swim until somebody died in Ironman Texas over the weekend in the swim. And, she was a 38-year-old age grouper. And I'm guessing she's better than me. She was like a Brazilian influencer or something. And I think she was about an hour into the swim. And then all of a sudden she wasn't there anymore. And it took them 3 hours to find her. And I guess she
Oh,
was
man.
sick and not feeling good going into it. And so with all those things, yeah, of course, that sits in the back of my head, even though it's a rare thing, just the reality of the challenge. But I am looking forward to the swim. I don't know, I'm looking forward to getting that part of the challenge out of the way. I'm most apprehensive about it because of my blood sugars. I'm
Yeah.
still struggling to be able to maintain my blood sugars through that entire route. I'm not looking forward to the bike. That's actually probably the part I'm looking forward to the least. I think the cyclists who people identify more as cyclists, and they're like, yeah, that's where I spend all my time. That's cool, but I think I'm just a little bit more naturally, or I spend more time running. Although I will suffer more in the run. That's where the heat exhaustion, the POTS, that's where the dehydration, the lack of sodium, and of course the other 110 miles before it are all gonna come into factor.
Right.
So if anything, I'm looking forward to the finish line, and everything else sounds like it's going to be a challenge.
What about what? Tell me about the nourishment and the hydration during the race. What does that look like?
Hold on a second. I need it. Oh, I'm gonna get my dog out. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Ooh, now the camera doesn't know what to focus on over there. We'll see what happens with that. Folks, when I think about Ironman, man, it's just impressive that people are able to do that, have the mental fortitude to do that over a 12-hour period or however long it takes them to do that. Really, really incredible. Hey, puppy, have a seat. Oh, no, he's out of the screen now.
So yeah, he just pooped on the floor. So we're gonna go off camera and clean that up.
Get that cleaned up. Nice.
Nutrition, they say the bike is supposed to be like a buffet, and for me it's going to need to even be extra than that. Like, I'm just going to have to try to get like a 500 or 1,000 milligrams at least of sodium per hour.
Yeah.
I'll probably be taking 600 calories maybe an hour. I mean, it's honest to God, it's the sweat and the glucose I need to work on the most. So there really is no such thing as too much for me.
Yeah.
I still need to work about, and I think I'll get we need to get a little one-on-one time with Mr. Lombard to kind of learn a little bit about race logistics and just how I can structure it all. Because I think what happened to me on Saturday, because I was able to fill up my water bottle and stay hydrated. However, you don't want to see what's going on in this end of the camera.
We can all imagine.
However, I had used a product called Tailwind, which has 680 grams of sodium or whatever. And I used like several scoops of that. But by mile 10, that was all gone, and it was just water. And so for a salty sweater like me, who sweats 7 to 10 pounds of just in an easy run, and who's constantly in need of sodium and electrolytes, I don't think it was a bonk. It definitely wasn't my cardio, because my last 3 miles of that run, my heart was jumping out of my chest at a 13:30 pace. I was doing a run walk at a 160 heart rate. That's what POTS does. And so I think that I just need to make sure that I'm getting my sodium in. And so I just got to figure out the race logistics of that. The good news is, as opposed to like when I'm out in the middle of nowhere, something like that, these are highly, what do you call it? Supported courses, so there'll be lots of aid stations. And to be honest, when I was kind of thinking about my performance for the race, like I wasn't joking, but I was saying like, man, I'm feeling so good. Not only am I going to do well in the marathon, I'm going to PR the marathon. And the fact is, it's not just about the cardio. Like, I need to make sure I take advantage of the aid stations and stuff like that. And so I might end up intentionally adding a handful of time to my race just to make sure that I am stopping, or not necessarily stopping, but that I'm collecting all the fluids through the aid stations, and that I'm, capitalizing, and I'm not just trying to shave 15 seconds off my time that nobody in the world is going to care about. And make sure that I'm, so when I run a marathon or something, it's one thing, you run through, you grab a water, I might need to make sure that I grab a water, down it, grab another water, grab a Gatorade, down it. I might walk through the aid stations or something during the marathon just to make sure that I'm getting everything that I need.
Yep.
Plus,
taking your time and actually drinking and processing that, even if you might lose a few seconds in the run, always ends up paying dividends.
absolutely. Because I mean, at the end of the day, like, let's just say I had brought the extra stick pack or something, and it took me a whole 2 extra minutes to put it back in my water. If I don't have that bonk, I make that time up,
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we're about ready to go back on camera here. Let me inspect the dog.
We're almost to the bottom of the hour. It's gone fast. So getting close there.
Well, that's the
we got a lot. We got a lot coming up during the next 4 weeks, man. You guys have Ironman. I've got a daughter graduating and a bunch of family coming in town. We got a ton of momentum at Manifold. We've got to work on that. There's a lot of good things happening in 2 months. Well, let's see, all of May, all of June. Yeah, about 2.5 months. We have the International Barbershop Competition. In 4 months, I drop Hannah off at school. Just crazy how much is going to happen in the next 4 months.
Man, that is a lot, and that time's going to go by quick again too. Because I mean, it won't be long until we're on the show talking about the Ironman, and then that's just going to be something that happened, and we'll be talking about the next thing.
That's right. Yeah. It's just moving quick. I'll tell you, man, life doesn't slow down. I think that's why you have to pace yourself, and slow down a little bit. And again, say no to the things that are not the most important, so you can say yes to things that are. Man, that's my takeaway from this morning. I appreciate you really diving into that and encouraging me in that regard. Because again, my word for 2026 is no, and I don't know that I've done a great job yet of leaning into that. I just feel like I'm missing out or I'm letting people down, and I just have to get away from. I got to get away from that,
I mean, there may be some truth to it, and that's just, it's. Yeah, you might disappoint someone might be disappointed in a decision that you make, and you have to just simply be comfortable with them being disappointed.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that's kind of what it comes down to and it does suck. I'll tell you what, like, I think all this extra, focus with the Ironman training and of course my business, like, I think at times it's helped me to be a better husband because I'm being more present than when I am, or at least making more focused effort on certain things. But dude, I have not been a good friend. Like I'm the guy who doesn't respond to things. I have to say no to everything. Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Training for 12 hours and resting. So, that's why I'm not going to immediately, I will do another one of these, I can see, but I'm not going to immediately turn around and sign up for another one,
Right.
To your point, I don't know if it's about balance, it's about priorities. And I know that I'm not a professional athlete and I don't want to spend my entire life alone. So, after this, I'm going to reprioritize doing some things with other people. And sometimes we got to do that ebb and flow too. It's all right to, disappear for 30 days, disappear for 6 months, do what it is to work on your thing. But I think sometimes we got to make sure that we come back up for air and still be part of life. Otherwise we stopped living. We started building a life and not living one.
Yeah. So true. So true, dude. I love that. Well, we're getting to the bottom of the hour here. Just a good reminder for everybody to make sure you say yes to what's important, say no to what's not important. Find your group, find your tribe. As we say on the show, is iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. Man, I'm thankful for you this morning. We miss Lombard. Oh, look at him. We miss Lombard. We miss Pedro. Hopefully we'll see them right back here next Tuesday at 6 a.m. for another episode of Iron Minds. We'll see you guys out there. Hey, get after it. Have a great week. We'll talk to you guys soon. Peace out.
Peace.